Welcome to At the Lamb's High Feast. I'm Father Timothy Eck. This week we celebrate the 12th Sunday of Ordinary Time on June 21st, 2026. You can find today's readings in the show notes. May the Lord who feeds us at his altar bless you through his word. Do not be afraid of those who can kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in Gehenna. I pose to you two simple yes/no questions. Feel free to mutter your answer to those around you as we go through. First question is there such a thing as spiritual existence? Are spiritual realities more important or greater than material or bodily realities? If we say yes to both of these questions, only then can we make sense of Christ's command, Christ's teachings and admonitions in our gospel, where he says, do not be afraid. Do not worry if someone tries to kill you. Don't worry about them, but only be worried about the one who can take the life of both body and soul. And so let's assume that you said yes to both of those questions. Are you certain enough about your answer to stake your life on it? If you were to put in this situation in which Christ is saying, are you confident in your answers enough to die? Put it to the test, right? Because that's kind of where he's saying it's the only way we can be certain, or at least be able to say, yeah, don't be afraid. So let's look at both of those questions a bit more closely. First one, is there such a thing as spiritual existence? We're going to think about the number one a little bit. So first question, have you ever encountered the number one? Like physically, walking about downtown, driving around the streets, talking to a friend. Have you ever ran into the number one? No, you haven't. You have never encountered the number one. You have heard people say the word one. You have seen one written on things. You have encountered an individual object, which is one object, but you have never actually encountered physically in the world the number one. Okay? Question two. Is the number one a physical thing? Well, no. So, as a counterexample, look around the room. Different people sitting around in different places. Yeah. Are each individual person in this room one thing? Yes. Can a physical thing be in two places at the same time in the same way? No. Someone sitting over here cannot simultaneously be sitting there and here at the same time in the same way. Their shoe might be able to be in two different places, so in some way they're there, but they themselves as a singular thing cannot be in both places at the same time. Okay? Obvious enough. We know that by our experience. Now, you are one thing. You over here are one thing. My little binder is one thing. All one. And yet one is there, here, all over. So therefore, one can't be physical because it couldn't be in multiple places. But one is in multiple places. Therefore, one is not physical. Let's call it immaterial, non-material, spiritual even. Therefore, there is such a thing as spiritual realities. Great. But that does not mean that you're a spiritual reality. That just means there's such a thing as spiritualities. So we come into our next series of questions. Do you know the number one? Well, yes. For if you only ever knew the sign pointing to one, for example, the word one, uno, unum, then you would not be able to know if those words actually point to the same thing. Maybe the English word one points to the number one, but the Spanish word uno points to 0.9999 repeated. We wouldn't know. And yet somehow we were able to translate words and then still express the same realities. We're able to convey the Arabic numerals, Roman numeral one, we had word one, all of these things, and yet we still get to one. This is a fundamental way that we're even able to actually speak. That you understand what I'm saying. When you talk to me, I understand what you're saying. It's because there is some other reality out there, a spiritual reality that both of us are recognizing in our words that we're able to convey to one another. So you know one. Next question. Can purely material existence, something that just made us stuff, know spiritual realities? No. Imagine a pool stick as it hits a cue ball. Does the pool stick know that the cue ball is one? No. As far as pool sticks know anything, a pool stick just knows it has ran into something. Purely mechanical action. No understanding if the cue ball is one or multiple. Or maybe it's some weird thing that has like some force field. No notion, no idea. Just some mechanical action has stopped the pool stick that it has interacted with. Material things can't get to spiritual things. But you know one. And one is not material. Immaterial. Therefore, there must be some part of you which is spiritual. Right, we made it through our first major question. Is there such a thing as material or spirituality? Yes, and you have a bit of that in you. For whatever that means, we'll call it the soul for sake of argument's sake. Next question. Are spiritual realities more important or greater than material/bodily realities? Question 1. Which is greater or more important? The word one or the number one? Well, the number. The word one, as I just make those noises, are meaningless without reference to the number one itself. This is a problem in archaeology and trying to translate ancient texts, because you could find some old thing and then look at it and be like, well, is this just a scribble that someone was like scribbling on it and it's an old receipt and that they tried to cross out? Or maybe it's some etching from over time of erosion. Or maybe it's a nice little doodle that someone was trying to paint on this thing. Or maybe it was a word, like just in and of itself, it's noise or it's drawings. It's only when the actual entity of one or the concept of the words are united to it that it has any meaning at all. And so it's more important, because without it, there isn't really a word. It's just noise or scribbles on something. And then even further, as I said earlier, like year one, my book's one, I'm using words one. All of these are pointing to and are the same in way participating in the number one. And so if I can only be here, but one can be all over these many other places, that means one is that much more greater. It's something that's more powerful, that can be in so many different kinds of things in so many different ways, that it's just this greater entity. So then, question 2, which is greater, the soul or the body? Well, how is it that you come to know the number one? Well, the soul. And if the number one is greater than the material part of the words of one, then the soul must also have like an equivalent dignity at minimum to it being able to know and understand the number one. And just as the number one gives meaning to the words that we talk about, when our soul is what gives meaning to our bodies. Without the soul, we are just a clump of chemicals. Chemicals are great and all, but it's just not really you. It's the soul gives meaning to that reality. So therefore, then, the soul is greater, that is more important than the body. You can breathe now. Second to recollect. Catch back up. We have to think about these questions seriously. Because otherwise, it actually makes no sense to not fear the person that could destroy our body. Because we could very much believe there are spiritual realities. But just because we believe there are spiritual realities does not mean we should give the body over to the spiritual realities. Does not mean we should sacrifice for those realities. It just means that there are other things that exist. There's hierarchies of good. We give different rankings. It's only if we can see those realities as more important that then we can say, well, it makes sense that I would choose spiritual things over just bodily things. But then second, as I asked you at the beginning, if you say yes to those questions, would you stake your life on that? Were you confident enough on your answer to die for it? Because yes, we'll say yes to those answers or those questions, but they're convenient beliefs. We don't really examine, probe, think about those things when we're actually challenged. Well, what do? So often we just default to what our bodies feel. Because that's the great temptation, right? Our bodies as stuff don't know spiritual realities. God is pure spirit. Body in and of itself is unable to be directed towards God because it's not going to choose it. You can't just go and experience it. Our bodies feel, and so they fear something, it's painful, avoid it, or they experience something as pleasurable, so go towards it. Just how all bodies work. Without then the soul directing the body upwards, well, we just default to it. And we realize in our lives, when we are, say, sitting around all night watching the news or watching TV or scrolling through our phones, like we just wake up in the morning, we just kind of feel like, blah. There's a certain malaise, a certain indifference, a certain, that comes over us. The more we feed our bodies and our desires, the more we run away from fears, we just become more and more controlled by our bodies. And whenever we're challenged for something higher, we just default to pulling away. This is why Christ said in our gospel that what you hear whispered will have to be proclaimed. The light in the darkness will have to be brought, because when we get into these situations, when our bodies are so loud, so to say, compared to our soul, it's like darkness. The idea of lifting our souls and looking to the spiritual realities is like a little tiny light. Our eyes aren't adjusted, aren't used to looking for it. Or ears, it's like a little whisper, distant. Hard to hear God, hard to hear and hard to desire those realities as we're a bit suffocated within there. And when we're there, then Christ is saying, no, we have to go to that light, listen to that voice so we can go and bring it to the world. But in order to do that, we ourselves have to, be familiar with these realities. So how do we do so? Well, briefly, we train our souls to seek wisdom and to have mastery over our bodies. First and foremost, we did this and strive to do this through education and study. Education throughout the Christian tradition was never really about getting a job. It was about training our souls in philosophy and theology, training our souls to the spiritual goods of the world so that way our souls are elevated to the heights. And then our souls in mastery of our bodies, at least knowing what is good to pursue, can direct our bodies to those ends. Which then means we're going to have good control of our bodies, means we're going to be flourishing as a person, which then means we're going to be able to do jobs, do work well. But jobs ultimately are for the body. We need them. But education was for the soul. And the soul is greater than the body. If that is formed well, will lead to us using our bodies well. Along this pursuit, then next comes putting aside bodily pleasures and pursuing spiritual realities. It's called ascesis, asceticism, penances. The idea being, well, if we choose to use our phone less, choose to avoid electronics, choose to put aside things that we find pleasurable, we train our bodies to obey our souls. We train our bodies like, yes, that is pleasurable, but I don't need it. Or conversely, right, so often in our lives, we are fueled on fear. Our society loves to fuel us on fear. Well, how we grow courageous is our exposing ourselves to a little bit of fear. I'm like, yes, I am afraid right now. That's okay. I'm not going to run away. I'm going to choose to face it, to sit in the discomfort. And then in doing so, we pursue the spiritualities. We pursue what is good. We pursue the intellectual life. Yes, it might not be the most enjoyable. Maybe it's a little scary because it means we have to change certain things, but that's okay. So we're gaining mastery over our bodies. So that we might be able to enter into prayerful meditation, where we simply sit still before God. So often when we try to do so, it's uncomfortable. We want to do, we want to experience some latest novel thing that we can buy. The idea of simply being still and silent is so rare today. We'd put aside the time to simply be so, not necessarily do so. But it's only once we allow ourselves to do these things that our souls will desire the eternal over the temporal. It's only when we do so that we will joyfully be able to acknowledge Christ as Lord before the world, particularly in a world that desires and presses upon everything of the body, but so little of the soul. And only then, as we heard our Lord say, when we joyfully acknowledge Him, then He will joyfully acknowledge us. And then, in turn, enter into that eternal life which He promises.